So August 16th, you made your way there, or at least that was the time frame. What was that first conditioning training session like? Well, there was also probably a meeting prior to that as well, getting to know everybody and all the recruits as well, upperclassmen and your future teammates. What was all that like?
Yeah, it was interesting. Alabama had just made it to the World Series the year before, and I remember
Mhm.
going into the clubhouse for the first meeting, and it like really hit me, like smacked me in the face that I'm like, oh my gosh, I just watched her on television, and now she's my teammate. Like that, like it was like this conundrum where I was like, oh my goodness, like that's my teammate, and she's on TV, So it was funny. I felt like that was probably such a freshman thought, but that was awesome. The first meeting, super cool to be in that environment. Very cool to, have the seniors talk, have the coaches talk. I remember Murphy's, our head coach gets up to the front. He looks at the freshmen. He says, okay, I'm going to tell you the secret, the key, the piece that everyone misses to being successful. And, we all like lean in thinking, what's this going to be? And he says, the sooner you realize it is not all about you, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah.
And that was it. And he was like, this is a we before me program. If you come in here thinking like, oh, I just want to get playing time, it's not going to work. And, that was so much of that first meeting was about that. And the only other thing I remember from that first meeting was he goes, okay, we're going to have a minute and a half clock. You have to stand up at the front for the full minute and a half. And you have to just say what motivates you. And you have someone who sits on a stool. That's your support sister in case you get nervous, that pats you on the back. And then you have to stand up and you just have to stand there for a minute and a half, say what motivates you. And my poor roommate, he grabbed a freshman to go first. And, that can be nerve wracking. But I remember thinking like, I didn't prepare for this, but it was cool. That was such a neat meeting. Talk about like just getting everyone comfortable with each other. And it's very, very neat.
Do you remember what you said? Again, this was in August of 2008, correct? So
Yes.
it was a while back, but do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I talked about my grandpa. He taught me how to play softball, and he was so in love with the game and respected the game so much that that was what motivated me to just try to leave the game better than the way I found it.
And so how many weeks later was there that conditioning test? And what constituted such a test for you?
2 days later.
Okay. Right. Quick turnaround.
Right away. Yeah. We I think the next day was our first day of classes that we had, get acclimated. The day after that was 4:00 in the afternoon conditioning test. So it's 18 half gassers. It's 50 yards down, 50 yards back, and I believe under 20 seconds. And you have to do 18 of them. You have to at least pass 15. And it's, if you practice the test enough, it's really not terrible. It's when you have you have to calm yourself down for how much adrenaline you have. You have to manage the fact that you're in hot heat. And, but it's neat. It's neat when like you're with everyone and you're, conditioning stinks, but when you're conditioning with a team like that, all of a sudden you're like, all right, this is pretty cool. This is something I could get used to working out with these guys.
So explain the 50 gassers for me, because a lot of people, I know a lot of people don't know the wind sprints.
Right? Yeah, so it's the width of a football field, which is about, I think it's like 51 yards. So you start on the one line of the football field. Coach says go. You sprint to one side, sprint back to the other. You have to get that done in under 20 seconds. Which when you're not fatigued, it's really not bad. And probably for a male, the time would be closer to 17 seconds. But 20 seconds down, 20 seconds back, and then you rest, and then you hit your next one. And you got to do 18 of them.